Yo, Tucker Carlson. This one crazy, y'all. This is basically like just calling out the parallels type. Like, just listen.
The reason I was lingering on the creation of the Nephilim is because it suggests this idea that sounds really radical when you first think about it, that there are hybrids, spirit, human together. But then as you talk about it a little bit and you realize that every culture has always believed this. In fact, Jesus is described as the union of God and a human woman. It's like, actually, it's a central concept everywhere all the time. Like, it's not shocking. Right? I
not in a sexual way in that case. Be clear.
Right, not in a sexual way. Right,
but yes.
This baby is the product of God's spirit and a human woman.
Right. And Christ is the express image of God. Right. He is the fullness of the image.
Right. And the Greek myths
of God.
tell different but related stories about people being. So why is it crazy? And I think people have, lived in the world for a while. Why is it crazy to someone have a feeling when you're talking to someone that this is not, that there's something else going on here, that this person's not, does this still happen?
Yeah, I think.
I have felt that way really strongly about people in charge a couple of times. Not just I disagree with them, I think you're a bad person. It's not even that. It's like, what is this?
Yeah. No, I have only kind of thankfully met a person like that once in my life. It was in a part of my pastoral training in a forensic psych ward. I met a person who had done, I won't describe what, because it's hideous and you won't be able to get it out of your head, but had done horrific things to a child, and that's how he ended up there.
Yes.
But who enjoyed bragging about it and describing it in detail to people and watching the look on their faces. Right? Like that level of gone. So there are people like that. And
did you feel as you talked to this person or listened to this person that this was not fully human, or this was some kind of hybrid?
You could look in his eyes and see that there was something inhuman.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is
there.
I've had that same experience with people. Not quite as cartoonish and obvious as that, but still, like, what is this?
Yeah.
So what is this?
It's, well, I mean, that's, so we would say in the church that to become like Christ, to be formed in the likeness of God, is to become truly human. That's what it means to be human.
Yes.
And so to the degree which you go down the other road, you become something inhuman.
Mm-hmm.
St. John Chrysostom, in one of his homilies, is talking to, so he's preaching in Constantinople to just regular people.
4th century.
Yeah. End of the 4th, beginning of the 5th. Yeah. And he says to his people, he says, so you believe that if someone dies a violent death, they become a demon. Right. So we kind of had that cultural idea too, right? Somebody dies some kind of violent or horrible death. They come back as this vengeful ghost or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, murder victims haunt the house where they were killed.
Yeah. So they apparently had that kind of idea too. And he says, that's incorrect. He says, it is people who live like demons who become demons. So in the same way that there is an actual transformation of humanity, as we're formed in the likeness of God, there is an actual transformation of humanity into something else.
Of course, and it's obvious. You become how you live, for sure.
When you go down that other road, it's an actual metaphysical transformation of who you are, even to the point where, so a big part of the understanding of what's going on with the Nephilim before the flood is that a lot of the demonic spirits that are talked about later in Scripture and after the flood are understood to be the spirits of those Nephilim, of those dead Nephilim. This is explicit in like the Book of Jubilees, which is a Jewish text from the period in between the Old and New Testaments, but a very important one. If you read like Josephus's Jewish Antiquities, he's cribbing from the history in Jubilees all the time. He just accepts it as historical. And it talks about at the time of the flood, the Nephilim are wiped out. They all die. And they have sort of a leader who's named Mastema. And Mastema comes to God and wants to strike this bargain with him. Don't send us all into the abyss. Don't send us all into the lake of fire. Let some of us stay on the earth. We promise if you let us do that, we'll only torment bad people. We'll only torment wicked people. And in the book of Jubilees, God agrees to allow 10% of them to remain to torment wicked people, but it says that God's motive is he wants to use that to bring wicked people to repentance, right? So there's sort of a theodicy going on there, right?
Yeah.
Sort of justification of God. Why does God allow these demonic
Right.
spirits? But you see reflections of that story even in like the Gospels, right? Because these spirits are told at that time, you're going to be you're allowed to wander until the last judgment, and then you're going to the lake of fire with everybody else, but you get this sort of reprieve. So for example, when Christ comes to the demoniac man and the demons say to him, have you come to torment us before the time?
Exactly.
Like, hey, wait, we had a deal.
Yeah.
Right. And then he ends up casting them into the pigs, and the pigs run off the cliff, and it says they run off the cliff into the abyss.
Very interesting how this, like, how the negotiations happen. It's why it's important that I think we get into the Bible more. We talk about it on an everyday basis, because it's like, this is real interesting. Let's continue.
Which is the place where those other demonic spirits were imprisoned. And there's a dynamic going on there where the name Jesus is actually the name Joshua, right? Of course, Joshua in the book of Joshua goes and battles these giant clans to sort of reclaim the land and purify them from evil. That's paralleled with Christ as sort of the true Joshua comes into the land to purify it from evil, and he's dealing with the spirits of these same beings. And so the idea that how does that become a spirit? Well, I mean, we've seen this, right? You can point to men in history who were wicked men, right? Who are long dead, but their spirit has lived on.
Oh, no
right?
doubt.
People have continued to
In the next 5 seconds, you'll see an idea go from sketch to clay to shape, and become a website.
participate in that spirit and embody it, right? And bring it forward. The same's true on the other side. Those are the people we call saints, right? They lived a life embodying the Spirit of God, being formed into his likeness. And even though they've died, sort of their spirit lives on. They become the patron saints of people and nations and, right, and families and people groups, and continue to have this life, right? So
you're describing
spirits.
the process of becoming that every person experiences. You're becoming something. But Genesis 6 is describing an act of creation.
Yeah.
Saying that these beings were different from the very start because they didn't have two human parents.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a very different thing.
Well, and we also have to understand what it means to be part of a people in the ancient sense. We have concepts like ethnicity and DNA and these kind of things that, of course, they had no idea right, about those concepts. So being part of a people was about two things: participating in their initiation rituals.
Yes.
And then participating in the ongoing ritual life of the community. So biblically, you look at ancient Israel, what made you an Israelite is if you were male, you were circumcised. If you were female, you were either the daughter or the wife of a circumcised male. And you ate the Passover, right? You participated in the festal sort of year. Within Christianity, right, you're baptized, initiation, right? And then you participate in the Eucharist and the ongoing sacramental life of the church. So the same was true on this other side, right? So what we've been talking about is essentially the initiation ritual, right? The beginning, right? And then there was an ongoing ritual life. And according to the Book of Wisdom or the Wisdom of Solomon, that depending on where you land, right, Christianity may or may not be part of your Old Testament, makes this explicit. Other texts outside of the scriptures make this explicit, that the ongoing ritual life of these people involved human sacrifice, and human sacrifice involved cannibalism.
Yes.
We have a very skewed view of we haven't done a lot of animal sacrifice and seen a lot of it, so we have kind of this skewed view that it's about killing the animal. It's not really about killing the animal, it's about eating the animal.
Yes.
Part of it being offered to God or a god, and then part of it being consumed, right? And so cannibalism, either at the level you see in Mesoamerica, right, blood drinking, right? That's why blood drinking is forbidden right throughout the Bible. And so there was cannibalism involved in this human sacrifice. And so that was sort of renewed. You have this initiation, you have this beginning, and then there is this ongoing ritual participation.
If you think companies like Dr. Squatch and Burt's Bees are small and wholesome, think again. Like so many great companies, they've now been bought by mega corporations and private equity firms who hijack the brands and fill them with the same corporate garbage that everybody else sells. That's why we're excited to partner with a company that is doing things differently. The Van Man Company. What a cool name. They started the tallow trend a few years back with their grass-fed tallow moisturizers. They've been crushing it ever since. Clean, nearly edible solutions to your everyday product needs. Here's the thing about tallow. It's the best moisturizer on earth because the fatty acids in tallow are pretty much identical to the oils in your own skin. Your body recognizes that. Use it once and you feel the difference. Your skin feels softer and smoother than anything you've gotten from a bottle full of chemicals and fillers.
Yes, indeed. So very interesting, man. Let me know what y'all think, man. I'm tired of working out all day, running around, stuff like that. So excuse me. Tell Carlson, great podcast. You guys want to, see more of him, you already know where to go. Oh, I'm going to take a nap, y'all. We'll be back. More reaction. More stuff like that. Be on the front line with it. Till next time. It's your good brother. Salute.